Day 2, rounding, properties, estimation, adding, and subtracting. So we're going to start off today with rounding. When we're rounding these numbers, we're looking at the underlined place value to be rounded to. We're going to look to the right of that number. If that number is 5 or higher, we're going to round that number up. If it's anything below 5, it's going to stay that number. And then everything after that number, if you have something like, if you're rounding to the nearest hundreds, then you would turn them into zeros. So if we look at an example here, it tells us to round 837,654 to the nearest 10,000. So our 10,000 digit is this 3. So we're going to look to the right of that 3, which is the 7. It's higher than 5. So that 3 is going to become a 4. So it'd be 84. And then everything after it becomes zeros. So you're going to have 840,000. For 2, we have 5927, and we're rounding for the nearest tenth first. So the nearest tenth would be the 1, that first one. So the number to the right of it is the 4. So it's just going to be 3.1. For B, it's asking us for the nearest thousandth. So we have tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So that's that second one. So we look to the 5. That one's going to become a 2. So that's going to be 3.142. For some examples that are not done for us, for 13, we have that the U.S. population reported from the 2000 census was 281,421,906. Round the population to the nearest 100 million, 10 million, million, 100,000, and 1,000. So for A, the 100 million, remember we have tens with that 6, or sorry, ones with the 6, tens with the 0, 9 is 100. Then we have 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. Million, 10 million, 100 million. So A is going to be that 2. The number to the right of it is the 8, so that's going to be 300 million. For B, we are dealing with the 10 millions, so that's the 8. The number to the right of it is 1. That's less than 5, so it's going to stay in 8, and then everything else behind it will become zeros. So it's going to be 280 million. For C, we have a million, so that's a 1. The number to the right of it is a 4, so it's less than 5. We're going to keep it 281 million. Then for D, we have 100,000, so that's the 4. So to the right of the 4 is a 2. That's less than 4, so it's going to be 281,400,000. And then for E, we have thousands place. So that's going to be the 1. The number to the right of that is the 9. It's higher than 5, so it's going to become a 2. And then everything to the right of it will become zeros. So we're going to have 281,422,000. With properties of these numbers. With addition and multiplication, we have these specific properties for numbers A, B, and C. So we have first the commutative property, which just means the order changes. So when you think commutative, think order. For associative property, the way you group the numbers changes. So think parentheses. Identity property is when you add 0 to anything, or if you multiply it by 1. So plus 0 times 1. Identity does not change the number. So either way, if you add 0 to any number, that number remains the same. And then if you multiply 1 by any number, that number remains the same. For your 0 property, if you multiply any number by 0, the product is 0. So this is just multiplication of 0. And then lastly, you have that distributive property of multiplication over addition or subtraction, which just means that if you distribute in before you add or before you subtract within the parentheses, you're going to get the same answer. So distributing means taking the number on the outside and multiplying it by each number on the inside. for this example 1, we have find the missing number, the name, and name the property used. So if we look here, we have something plus 37 is equal to 37 for A. Well, we can use the identity property because something times 37 is going to be 37. It's not changing the number, so it's just the identity property, and it would just be 0. So 0 plus 37 is equal to 37, and that is the identity property. For B, we have 4 times something times 8 is equal to 4 times 9 times 8. So use the associative property of multiplication, and the missing number would be 9. So you're just changing the parentheses. So if you see they go from here to here, so it literally just changes to be like this. It's just the associative property, and that missing number is a 9. For 2, it says the seats in a theater are divided into 2 sections. Section A has 15 rows of seats, and section B has 13 rows of seats. There are 10 seats in each row. How many seats are in the theater? So you could do this one of 2 ways. You can do 10 times 15 plus 10 times 13, or you can say to yourself, I can distribute the 10 to both the 15 and the 13, and I'm going to get the same results. So 10 times 15 is 150. The 10 times 13 is 130. If we did the same thing with distribution, 10 times 15 is 150. 10 times 13 is 130. And we just add these two to get the total number of seats, which is 280 seats. For some examples that are not done for us, for 6 through 10, we're writing true or false. So for 6 says, when a number is added to 0, the sum is 0. That's false. It would be that number that's added to 0. For 7, it says 0 multiplied by a number greater than 0 is 0. That's true, because 0 times anything is 0. For 8, it says 5 times 3 is equal to 3 minus 5, or 5 minus 3, 5 minus 3 is equal to 3 minus 5. Well, 5 minus 3 is 2. 3 minus 5 is negative 2. So this is false. 9 says any number divided by 1 is that number. That would be true. Any number divided by 0 is that number. This is false. It would be 1 instead. For 10, it says if the product of 2 numbers is 0, at least one of the numbers must be 0. This is also true. For our next set of examples, it says for problems 11 through 15, find the missing number that makes each statement true. Name the property shown. So for 11, we have 32 times 57 is equal to something times 32. Well, this would be 57, and this is the commutative property. And I'm just going to abbreviate it by the COMM period. For 12, we have 79 times 0 is equal to what? Well, anything times 0 is 0, and this is just the 0 property. For 13, we have 21 times 8 times 14 is equal to something times 8 times 14. So the missing number is the 21. And then your associative property is used here because your order of those parentheses is changing. For 14, we have 5 times 76 is equal to 5 times 70 times 5 times something. That 5 times something would be 6, and we're using the distributive property. For 15, we have 83 times something is equal to 83. In order not to change this, we're going to be multiplying this 83 by 1, and this is just the identity property. For 16, it tells us to find each product by distributing multiplication. So for A, we have 4 times 63. Well, this is the same exact thing as saying 4 times 60 plus 3. 60 is the same thing as 60 plus 3. So if we distribute this 4 in, we're going to have 4 times 60 as well as 4 times 3. 4 times 60 is 240. 240. And then the 4 times 3 is 12. So we're just going to add the 240 and the 12, and this gives us 252. For B, we're given 10 times 98. So we're going to distribute this, but we're going to break up that 98 first. So it's going to be 10 times 90 plus 8. So we're going to distribute this in. We're going to have 10 times 90 as well as 10 times 8. The 10 times 90 is 900. And then the 8 times 10 is 80. So when we add these, we get 980. With estimation and addition, what we're going to do with this section and the subtraction is we're going to focus on adding and subtracting. So with these, sometimes it's a lot easier to estimate first before you add or before you subtract. And again, we're just going to add and subtract here. So sometimes with these, you can arrange these in place value so that way you have all of your place values in rows, and then it's a lot easier for you to add these numbers. With these also, you want to make sure that you are lining up your decimal places correctly. So anything in the tenths place goes in the tenths place or under each other. Anything in the hundredths goes under each other. So for this example 1, it says find the sum of 2,468 plus 279 plus 23. So in order to add these, I'm going to line up my numbers based on their place value. So my ones place, I have an 8, a 9, and a 3. I know 9 plus 3 is 12, plus 8 is 20, so I'm going to carry the 2, put the 0 down. Next, I have 6 plus 7 plus 2 plus 2. Well, the 6 plus 7 gives us 13, plus 2 is 15, plus another 2 is 17. So carry the 1, drop down the 7. Next, we have 4 plus 2 with the 1 that's on top. So 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. And then that 2 comes down. So we're at 2,770. If you realize here, the 2,770 is close to the estimated value of the 2,220. And again, when we estimate, we're just going to be giving the estimation of it, just like the 2,800 is close to 2,770. It's not exact, and it's not really, really close, but really, really far away either. For 2, it says to find the sum of 2.43 plus 36 plus 13.8 plus 0.003. So I'm going to add these all up by putting them in place value order. Anything I don't have a place value for, I'm going to put a 0 in for. So if I write down my first number, I have 2.43. Then I have 36. The 6 is in the ones, the 3 is in the tens. So I don't have anything in the tens for that top number. So I'm going to actually put zeros down in the tenths and the hundredths. So now we have 13.8. So the 1 is in the tens, the 3 is in the ones, and the 8 is in the tenths. Again, I don't have anything in the hundredths, so I'm going to put a 0 there. Lastly, I have 0.003. So the first 0 goes in the ones, then I have my decimal point, then I have a 0 in my tenths, a 0 in my hundredths, and my 3 goes in my thousandths. I do not have a 3 on any thousandths place value in any of my other numbers, so I'm going to put zeros in there. From here, I'm just going to add. So the 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 3 is 3. 3 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 3. 4 plus 0 plus 8 plus 0 is 12. Put the 2 down, carry the 1, put your decimal point down. Then we have 2 plus 6, which is 8, plus 3, which is 11, plus 1 is 12. Carry the 1, put the 2 down. So 3 plus 1 is 5. So it's 52.233. For our next examples for 11, we have 6,027 plus 1843 is equal to 7.872. We are placing the decimal point in each addend to make the sentence true. So for 11, this decimal point, in order to get the 7 is going to have to be 6.027 and 1.845. For 12, we have 3649 plus 1621 plus 5591 is going to equal 25.45. So with these, you're going to have to figure out, obviously, you're not going to have 36 and you're not going to have 55. So it's probably 3.6 and 16.21 and 5.591. So if we add these up, if we did 3.649, I'm just using a calculator to do this, plus 16.21, that gives us 19.859. If we then add the 5.591 to that, that gives us 25.45. So that is correct. For 13, we are given 7863, 5409, 1145 is equal to 73.403. So once again, if we look at these, we know that we're not going to have 78.63, so it's probably going to be 7.863. The 5409 would most likely be 54.09. And then the 1145 would probably be 11.45. So if we check these, again, I'm just going to use a calculator to do this. We have 7.863 plus 54.09. That gives us 61.953. That's very close to what we're looking for. Just another tens that are off. If we add the 11.45, that gives us the 73.403. For 14, we have 2431 plus 1358 plus 3366 plus 5904 is going to equal 65.232. So for this one, I don't think it's going to be the 5904, so I'm going to put the 5.904. Then we might have 33.66. So I'm going to put that there. And then with the 2431, we might have that, and then the 1.3. So let's try this. So 24.31 plus the 33.66 gives us 57.97. That's close. So let's see if we add the 1.358, and that gives us 59.328 plus the 5.904 gives us 65.232. So it's literally just a guess and check kind of thing with these. The whole idea, what I am really worried about is if you know how to add and subtract these numbers. So with this, we're going to move into subtraction. So with the subtraction, we are going to do the same exact thing that we did with the addition. So for subtraction, we're going to line up our place values. And we're going to move from the for the right to the left when we're adding these. And then we're going to make sure the number on top is greater than the number underneath it. If it's not, we're going to take that number, like for this first example, the 7 is not greater than 9, so the 7 will become 17, making the 4 a 3. The 3 is then not less than, or is not greater than 5, so the 3 becomes a 13, making the 5 a 4. So we're going to make that number a value of a tens place value, so that way we can subtract these numbers. So if we look at this next example 2, it's the same exact thing. So the 4 minus 0 is 4. The 1 you cannot subtract 9 from, so that's going to become 11, making the 3 a 2. So then you can do 11 minus 9, which is 2, and then 2 minus 2 is 0, 6 minus 1 is 5, so it's 5.024. For 3, it tells us Peter spent $16.83 at the bookstore and $7.91 at the drugstore. How much money does he have left from $50? So what we first can do is we can add these two. When we add the 16.83 and the 7.91, we are getting 24.74. So from there, we are getting that number that we are going to subtract from $50. So $50 is the same thing as 50.00. So we're going to subtract the 24.74 from that. The first zero is going to become a 10. The next becomes a 9. The following zero will then become a 9. And the 5 becomes a 4. So 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 7 is 2. Bring down your decimal point. 9 minus 4 is 5. And 4 minus 2 is 2. You can also always check your subtraction by adding your answer with one of the original numbers. And it should give you the other number that you were working with. So for 11 through 14, we're finding the missing add-ins. So with these, we have 467 plus 328 plus something is equal to 1003. So I'm just going to rewrite this. I'm going to have to add first. So I'm going to do 467 plus 328. The 7 plus 8 is 15. The 6 plus 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. And the 4 plus 3 is 7. From here, I'm going to subtract this number from the 1003. I line up my place values. I cannot take 5 from 3, so the 3 becomes a 13. The 0 then becomes a 9. The following 0 will then also become a 9, making the 1 next to it a 0. So we have 13 minus 5, which is 8, 9 minus 9, which is 0, and 9 minus 7, which is 2. So 208 is the number we are missing. For number 2, we have 1,792 plus something plus 2,815 plus 694 is equal to 7,602. So I'm going to add the 1792, the 2815, and the 694 before I subtract this number that I get from the 7602. So 5 plus 4 is 9 plus 2 is 11. Then I have 9 plus 9 is 18 plus 2 is 20. From there I have the 8 plus 6 plus 2 is the same thing as 8 plus 8, which is 16, plus the 7 gives us 23. And then we have 2 plus 2 plus 1, which is 5. So we are then going to take that number and subtract it from the 7602. So we have 7602 minus 5301. The 2 minus 1 is 1. 0 minus 0 is 0. 6 minus 3 is 3. And then 7 minus 5 is 2. So 2,301 is our missing number. For 13, we have 1.06 plus 0.582 plus something is equal to 4.2. So we are going to do the 1.06 plus the 0.582. Oops. I'm going to move these over. 582. There we go. I'm going to put a 0 above the 2, so that way I know that I have that place value to work with. So 0 plus 2 is 0, or sorry, 0 plus 2 is 2, 6 plus 8 is 14, 5 plus 1 is 6, put down your decimal point, and 1 plus 0 is 1. So from here, I'm going to subtract this number from the 4.2. So I'm going to have 4.2 minus 1.642. I'm going to put zeros above the 4 and the 2. The 0 above the 2 becomes a 10. The 0 above the 4 becomes a 9. 2 becomes 1. The 1 then becomes 11, making the 4 a 3. So when we add these, we're going to do the 10 minus 2, which is 8. The 9 minus 4 is 5. The 11 minus 6 is 5. We bring down the decimal point, and 3 minus 1 is 2. So 2.558. For 14, we are adding the 0.985, the 13.4, I'm going to add those zeros in, and the 5.76. I'm going to add that 0 in too. So if I add these, 5 plus 0 is 5. 8 plus 6 is 14. 9 plus 4 plus 7 plus 1 is the same thing as 17 plus 4, which gives us 21. Bring down our decimal point. 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 5 is 10. Carry the 1. Then 1 plus 1 is 2. So from here, we're going to subtract this number from 21.02. So 21.02, I'm going to add that 0 in since I have the thousandths place value. And I'm going to subtract the 20.145. So from here, my 0 that's above the 5 becomes a 10, making the 2 a 1. You cannot subtract 4 from 1, so that's going to become an 11, making the 0 next to it a 9. From there, since that 0 became a 9, the 1 also becomes a 0. So we are going to subtract these here. 10 minus 5 is 5. 11 minus 4 is 7. 9 minus 1 is 8. Bring down your decimal point. 0 minus 1 is, 0 minus 0 is 1. 0 minus 0 is 0. And 2 minus 2 is 0. So we have 0.875 for our missing number. For 15, it tells us that Linda bought some ground beef for $3.66, rolls for $1.59, and a container of juice for $2.87. How much change did she receive from a $10 bill? So for 15, we are just going to, I'm going to put this over here, add up the 3.66, the 1.59, and the 2.87. I'm going to add them, and then I'm going to subtract that from $10. So I have 6 plus 9 plus 7, which is 22. Then I have 2 plus 5 plus 8, which is 15, plus 2 is 17. Put my decimal point down, and then I have 1 plus 3 plus 1 plus 2. So 5 plus 2 is 7. So it's 7.27. So I'm going to do 10 minus the 7.72. So 10.00 minus 7.72. The first 0 above the 2 becomes a 10, making the 0 next to it a 9. The 0 on top of this next 7 becomes a 9, and then the 1 becomes a 0. So we have 10 minus 2, which is 8. 9 minus 7 is 2. Put your decimal point down, and then 2 minus 7 is also 2. So $2.28 is what she got back from that $10 bill. For 16, it tells us the table shows the population of two cities in 1990 and 2000. Which city had the greater population increase? How much greater? So for this, we're going to first deal with Thornton, and we're going to do the difference between these two. So we are going to have 140,692 minus 122,859. So to do this, the 2 becomes a 12, making the 9 an 8. 12 minus 9 is 3. 8 minus 5 is 3. You cannot take 8 from 6, so the 6 will become a 16, making the 0 a 9 and the 4 a 3. So the 16 minus 8 is 8. 9 minus 2 is 7. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So that change there is 17,833. For Sheffield, we are going to do 147,305 minus 130,076. So 5 minus 6, you can't do that. 5 becomes a 15. The 0 becomes a 9. The 3 becomes a 2. So 15 minus 6 is 9. 9 minus 7 is 2. 2 minus 0 is 2. 7 minus 0 is 7. 4 minus 3 is 1. So that's 17,229. So the greater change is Thornton. To find the difference between the two changes, we're going to subtract these two. So we're going to do 17,833 minus 17,229. The 3 becomes a 13, making the next 3 a 2. So 13 minus 9 is 4. 2 minus 2 is 0. 8 minus 2 is 6. The 7 minus 7 is 0. The 1 minus 1 is 0. So it's just 604. For some practice problems. For number 1, we have that in 2000, the Sun Foods Company had a total sales of 57,468,000. Round to the nearest million. Total sales were what? So our millions place value is at 7. The 4 is less than 5, so it's just going to stay 57 million, and then everything to the right of it becomes zeros. 2 says the area of New York State is 54,471 square miles. Round the area to the nearest 100 square miles. The number in the 100 place value is the 4. The number to the right of it is 7. It's greater than 5, so this is 54,500 square miles. For 3, it says to the nearest 100, what number does not round to 6,000? To the nearest 100, what number? So this first one, yes, that works. For 5980, the 9 would become a 10, making the 5 a 6, so that's 6,000. For C, however, that 9 would stay, so C is our answer. For 4, we have 2,222,222. Rounded to the nearest 100 is what? 100 place value is this 2 here. So it's 2,222,200. Oh, this is saying 100,000. I'm sorry. So 100,000 is here. So this is 2,200,000. For 5, it says 39,998 rounded to the nearest 10 is, the 8 is the ones, the 10 is the 9. The 8's greater than 5, so that 9 becomes a 10. So this number here becomes a 10, making everything 40,000. For 6, it says Mrs. Chang spent $143.78 on groceries. Around here, bill to the nearest $10. So that would be in the 4s. That 4, so that's $140. For 7, it says the length of a hiking trail is 26.184 kilometers. Around the length to the nearest 10th of a kilometer. Your 10th place is the 1. The number to the right of it is greater than 5, so it's going to be 26.2 kilometers. For 8, it says a calculator displayed a player's batting average as 0.2508519. Round the batting average to the nearest 1,000th. So we have the 10th place, hundredths, thousandths. So that's the 0. The number to the right of it is greater than 5. So this is going to be 0.251. 9 says 0.536 rounded to the nearest 1 is The 0 is in the ones place. The 5 is 5 or higher, so it becomes 1.000. For 10, we have 376.2945 rounded to the nearest hundredth. So we have tenths, hundredths, that's the 9. The 4 keeps the 9 the way it is, so it's just going to be 376.29. 11 says, when rounded to the nearest tenth, which number will not be 0.8? The nearest tenth is the first decimal point, or decimal place. So the first one, A, that 7 becomes an 8, so that one is a yes. The 8's going to stay an 8 for B, so that one's yes. Same thing with C, the 8 stays an 8, so for D, the 4 keeps the 7, the 7, so that one will not change. For 12, it says, at the hardware store, Mark bought items costing $6.35, $8.95, $3.17, and $4.49. To estimate his total, Mark rounded each number to the nearest dollar, then added. What was his estimate? So the $6.35 is $6. The $8.95 is $9. The 3.17 is just 3. And then the 4.49 is also just 4. So 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 3 is 19, plus 9 is 19, plus 3 is 22. For number 1 on the next section, it says, which sentence illustrates the commutative property of addition? Remember, commutative property just changes the parentheses. So with these, not the parentheses, the order, changes the order. So with these, 9 plus 6 is equal to 8 plus 7. Nope, that order doesn't change. The numbers change. For B, we have 13 plus 0 is equal to 13. Yes, that's true. However, that's the identity property, not the commutative property. For C, we have 14 plus 5 is equal to 5 plus 14. That one is our answer because the order is changing. For 2, it says, if 87 times m is equal to 0, the value of m is, anything times 0 is 0. For 3, it says 5 times 29 is equal to 5 times 20 times 9, no. 5 plus 20 times 5 plus 9, no. 5 times 20 plus 9, no. 5 times 20 plus 5 times 9, yes. If we distribute that 29 becomes 20 plus 9, and we're just distributing it. So we're doing 5 times 20 and 5 times 9. For 4, it says, which number makes the sentence true? 13 times 6 times something is equal to 13 times 6 times 17. The missing number is 17. 5 says the sentence 0 times 41 is equal to 0 illustrates which property? This is the 0 property of multiplication. For this example here, number 1 is the best estimate of 3,418 plus 4,576 plus 1,861 plus 920 is. If we're rounding these to the nearest thousandths, we are going to have 3,000 plus 5,000 plus 2,000 plus, well, this one doesn't turn to 1,000. So let's look at our answer choices. The 3,000, the 5,000, 2,000. This B would be our answer. For 2, it says Susan went to the store and bought items costing $3.39, $2.68, $1.29, 82 cents, and $6.79. She estimated the total by rounding each price to the nearest dollar and adding. Which group of numbers did she add? So for the $3.39, that's $3. All of them are $3 except J, so that's not the answer. Then the second number is going to be rounded to $3, so the first one, F, is not an answer. Next, we have $1.29. That stays as $1. So G is not the answer. H would have to be it. For 3, it tells us to find the sum of 319 plus 7 plus 610 plus 2,305. So we are going to add these numbers based off of their place value. The 9, 7, and 5 add up. That gives us 21. So we're going to carry the 2, drop the 1 down. Then we have 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 0, which is just 2 plus 1 plus 1, which is 4. Then we have 3 plus 0 plus 6 plus 3, so 3 plus 6 is 9, plus another 3 is 12. Carry the 1, 2 plus 1 is 3. So it's 3,241. For 4, it says, in May, Mr. Coach's airline mileage statement showed the following. What is his total mileage? So we're going to just add these up. So we're going to have 1525, 1401, 2,886. We're going to add these up. 5 plus 1 is 6, plus 6 is 12. 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. 5 plus 8 is 13, plus 1 is 14, plus another 4 is 18. And 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. So 5,812 miles. For 5, we are finding the sum of the numbers below. So we have 826.95, 1,439.14, and 29.20. So to add these, 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 plus 1 plus 2 is 12. Put your decimal point down. 9 plus 9 is 18. 19 plus 6 is 25. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7, plus 2 is 9. 8 plus 4 is 12. Carry the 1, 2, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So that's 2,295.29. For our next one, we are finding the sum of 4.6. We're going to add a 0 there and another 0 because our greatest place value is the thousandths. We have 62.34, add the 0 there, 0.293. We're going to add these now that our place values are lined up. So we're going to have 3. 9 plus 4 is 13. The 6 and 1 is 7, plus 3 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Put your decimal point down. 1 plus 4 plus 2 is 7, and then the 6 goes down as well. For 7, we have 13.2, 0.132, and 0.00132. So we just put zeros in place values of numbers I do not have a number for. So we have 2 plus 0 plus 0 is 2, 3 plus 0 plus 0 is 3, 1 plus 2 plus 0 is 3, 3 plus 0 plus 0 is 3, 1 plus 2 is 3, add the 0 or the decimal point down, drop the 3, drop the 1. So we have 13.33332. 8 says Vicky walked 3.1 kilometers on Monday, 4.86 kilometers on Tuesday, and 4.25 kilometers on Wednesday. Find the total distance she walked. So we're just going to add these. So we're going to have 3.1. I'm going to add a 0 there so our place values add up. 4.86 and 4.25. So the 6 and the 5 is 11. The 8 and 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Carry the 1. Put your decimal point down. 4 plus 4 is 8. Plus 3 is 11. Plus 1 is 12. So that's 12.21 kilometers. For 9, it says the sum closest to 26.53 plus 8.2 29 is, well, we can do 27 plus 8. The 7 plus 8 is 15, and then the 2 plus 1 is 3. So that's 35, so I would choose A for this one. For 10, it says Ralph and Calvin work part-time at a department store last week. Ralph earned $97.85. Calvin earned $28.55 more than Ralph did. The best estimate to show how much Calvin earned is, well, the 97.85 can round to 100. And then the 28.55 we can round to 30. If we add these, that's $130. So F. For our last section of practice, for 1, it tells us when two numbers are added, their sum is 1,513. If the first number is 998, what is the second number? So we are just going to subtract these numbers. So we're going to have 1513 minus 998. So we cannot take 8 from 3. It's going to become a 13, making the 1 a 0. You can't take 9 from 0, so that becomes a 10, making the 5 a 4. You can't take 9 from 4, so that becomes a 14, making the 0 a 1. So 13 minus 8 is 5. 10 minus 9 is 1. 14 minus 9 is 5. So 515 was the other number. For 2, it says the difference between 128,148 and 58,668 is, we're just going to subtract these two. So 128, 148 minus 58,668. 8 minus 8 is 0. The 4 has to become a 14, making those 1 a 0. You can't take 6 from 0, so that becomes a 10, making the 8 a 7. You can't take 8 from 7, so that becomes a 17, making the 2 a 1. You can't take 5 from 1, so that becomes an 11, making the 1 a 0. So now 14 minus 6 is 8. 10 minus 6 is 4. 17 minus 8 is 9. 11 minus 5 is 6. So it's 69,480. 3 says, which expression gives the closest estimate for 5609 minus 2894? We can do 56,000 minus 29,000, so that would be A. You could also do 6,000 minus 3,000, but that's not an answer choice. The 5609 could be 56,000, but the 2,000 would not be correct. And then you would not change the 5609 down to 5,000. It's too big of a difference. For 4, it says the area of Cuba is 42,804 square miles. The area of Puerto Rico is 3,339 square miles. How much larger is Cuba than Puerto Rico? So we are just subtracting these two. So 42,804 minus 3,339. All right. So you can't take 9 from 4, so it's going to become a 14, making the 0 a 9, and the 8 a 7. You can't take 3 from 2, so that becomes a 12, making the 4 a 3. So 14 minus 9 is 5, 9 minus 3 is 6, 7 minus 3 is 4, 12 minus 3 is 9, 3 minus 0 is 3. So it's 39,465. 5 says the average annual precipitation in Singapore is 84.6 inches. The average annual precipitation in London, England, is 29.7 inches. How many more inches of precipitation does Singapore get than London? So we're going to do the subtraction here of 84.6 minus 29.7. The 6 is becoming a 16, making the 4 a 3, which then becomes a 13, making the 8 a 7. So 16 minus 7 is 9. 13 minus 9 is 4. Make sure the decimal point went down between the 9 and the 4, and 7 minus 2 is 5. So 54.9, which is B. For 6, it says Haynes, Daines, and Raines ran for mayor. Haynes received 8,316 votes. Daines received 7,495 votes. If 2,000 votes were cast, how many did Raines receive? So we are going to add these two numbers, the 8316 and the 7495. The 6 and 5 give us 11. 1 and 9 is 12. 3, 4, and 1 is 8. And 8 and 7 is 15. So if we subtract this from 20,000, 0 becomes a 10, this becomes a 9, next becomes a 9. The next one becomes a 9, and the 2 becomes a 1. So 10 minus 1 is 9, 9 minus 2 is 7, 9 minus 8 is 1, 9 minus 5 is 4. So that's 4,179. This should be a 7. Did I not do this right? 11, 10, 11. That's why. So this 2 should be a 1. This should be a 1. This should be a 1. So this is an 8. All right, so for 7, it says Mr. Lang had a balance of $365.57 in his checking account. He wrote a check for $96.80. How much money was left in his account? So 365.57 minus 96.80. 7 minus 0 is 7. The 5 has to become a 15, making the next 5 a 4. Can't take 6 from 4, so that becomes a 14, making the 6 a 5. Can't take 9 from 5, so that becomes a 15, making the 3 a 2. So we have 15 minus 8, which gives us 7. Put the decimal point down. 14 minus 6 gives us 8. 15 minus 9 is 6, and 2 minus 0 is 2. So that's $268.77. For 8, it tells us to subtract 0.987 from 2.87. So 2.87, I'm going to add in that 0 to make sure I have my place values that line up. Then we have 0.987. Oops, we're subtracting these, not adding. So the 0 becomes a 10, 7 becomes a 6, making that a 16, 8 becomes a 7, that becomes a 17, making the 2 a 1. 10 minus 7 is 3, 16 minus 8 is 8, 17 minus 9 is 8. Put your decimal point down, 1 minus 0 is 1. So 1.883. For 9, it says how much greater than 37.58 is 51.04. So we're going to subtract these. My 4 is going to become a 14, making the 0 a 9, which makes the 1 a 0. You can't subtract 7 from 0, so it becomes a 10, making the 5 a 4. 14 minus 8 is 6. 9 minus 5 is 4. Drop a decimal point. 10 minus 7 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. So 13.46. 10 says a sack of flour weighed 22.5 pounds after the baker used some flour. 14.85 pounds were left. How many pounds of flour did the baker use? So we're going to just subtract these two. So 22.5 minus 14.85. I'm going to add that 0 in. The 0 would become a 10, making the 5 a 4. You can't take 8 from 4, so that becomes a 14, making the 2 a 1. You can't take 4 from 1, so it becomes 11, making the 2 a 1. So if we subtract these, 10 minus 5 is 5. 14 minus 8 is 6. Put down your decimal point. 11 minus 4 is 7. And then 1 minus 1 is 0. So that's 7.65 pounds.